We have renowned criminal defense attorney and former Harvard Law School professor Alan Dershowitz joining us to break down these tensions. So, Professor Dershowitz, we're seeing lots of concerning reports about this potential civil unrest that could erupt as a result of the outcome of this election. The USA seems more polarized than ever, especially when it comes to civil rights. And the rise of anti-Semitism worldwide, especially from the far right, has been an issue among Jewish voters. Now, many believe that Trump's presidency and his rhetoric has led to a rise in white supremacy and racism. What do you say to that?
I think they're looking at the wrong problem. Racial violence on the right is episodic, sporadic, and is always opposed by the government. It is not the significant problem for the Jewish community. The significant problem for the Jewish community is anti-Semitism from the hard left, taught at the colleges, anti-Israel attitudes taught at universities, because these are our future leaders. And we have much more to be concerned about with Ilhan Omar, who nobody in the Democratic Party will renounce, than we do from some neo-Nazi jerk who does a terrible thing. Of course, the people who are hurt, like in the Eitz Chaim, the Tree of Life shul, are of course horribly victimized. But remember, when things like that happen, the police, the government, everybody supports the Jewish community. So that's not the biggest problem that we face. The biggest problem we face is the growing anti-Semitism on the hard left within the Democratic Party, which may become even more pronounced and more prominent if we see the result of the election being the election of a Democrat and Democrat House and Democrat Senate. This is coming from a Democrat, a man who always votes Democrat, who's voted for every Democratic candidate. I'm not disclosing who I voted for in this election, but in every past election, I voted for Democrats. And I'm very, very worried about rising anti-Semitism, rising hatred, and rising anti-Israel rhetoric among the hard left, more so than the hard.
So, Alan, one of the things that Trump has repeatedly reiterated throughout his presidency is that the news is fake. Fake news media. We've heard the term over and over again. You've been a staunch critic of how what you say is the media criminalizing politicians through coverage, from Trump to Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. And some would argue that this blanket characterization of the media as fake is very divisive and could lead to civil unrest. What is your response to that?
I think it's primarily the media's fault. It has become very divisive. If you go on CNN or MSNBC, you see only very anti-Trump reports. If you go on Fox, you see the opposite. There's no room for Walter Cronkite today on American television. Nobody wants somebody on television who's nuanced, who's centrist, who presents all sides of the issue. So the media is largely at fault for the division. They are not a symptom of the division. They are a cause of the division.
Now, I want to turn to it's related. The appointment of Judge Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court of Justice has been a very controversial headline. We've been covering this. Her approval has cemented a 6-3 conservative majority on the 9-member top court. What does this mean for the future of the United States? And what is your take on this move being made right before such a crucial election?
Well, I think it was a big mistake for the Senate to go forward with the nomination. They should have followed the advice of what the Republicans said when they were being principled 4 years ago or several years ago, when they said they would never allow a nomination to go forward during the last year of a presidential term. And then once it happened, they went forward. So the Republicans cheated the Democrats out of a nominee to the Supreme Court, which should have happened when Obama nominated Merrick Garland. And then they violated their own principles and hypocritically confirmed a very qualified justice, to be sure, but a justice who was nominated just weeks before the election, and that was in violation of the principles they themselves established. So look, there's hypocrisy on both sides. There's divisiveness on both sides. The reason people don't like what I say is I don't pick sides. I attack the Republicans when they deserve to be attacked. I attack the Democrats when they deserve to be attacked. I support presidents when they do the right thing, and I oppose them when they do the wrong thing. I support President Trump for what he has done with regard to Israel and the peace process in the Gulf. I oppose President Obama, who I voted for twice when he created the terrible Iran deal and then the UN Security Council resolution. So That's what bipartisanism is all about. We don't have it anymore in the United States, and we don't have much of it in Israel these days either.
Now, Alan, quick answer on this one. Turning to Jewish votership, you said back in 2016 that for 50 years you had never voted according to which candidate is, quote, better for the Jews. You asked yourself another question: who will be the best for America, because you believe that a strong America is the best for both the Jews and Israel. Do you believe the same this time around?
I do. I think that both candidates will be good for Israel. They'll be good in different ways. I've known Joe Biden for many years. He's always been pro-Israel. I could not have voted for Bernie Sanders. He was beyond the pale of acceptable voting. He went and campaigned for Jeremy Corbyn in England, who is an anti-Semite. His own party has suspended him. But Biden has been generally pro-Israel. Trump has been extraordinarily pro-Israel. Trump belongs in the top 4 pro-Israel Americans: Harry Truman, Lyndon Johnson, Bill Clinton, actually 5, George W. Bush, and Donald Trump. They've all been very, very good for Israel. And I hope that Biden is elected, he joins that group.